Hello YouTube, it's Moosin here, welcoming you back to another Duelyst video. And today I decided to do a little bit different, a little bit fun. Trying to have some fun in 2017. Totally out of this world, right? But I've been recently looking at older Duelyst videos, back when two-card draw was a thing. A lot of things were different. But you know, it's a. I like to look back on it and how things were, and specifically with Team Wars coming up and getting my own Team Wars team together. I had a look at a lot of what Magmar control used to be. Pretty interesting stuff. So I've tried to, as not viable as you could argue it is nowadays, because a lot of things are different. I'm having a swing at it, you know. I've used this on a ladder and it is fun. We'll start off, double flash reincarnation. I'll get into why in a second, in terms of combos. Now, there's Dance of Dreams. Back then, the model, the sort of sprite you'll see of Dance of Dreams, used to be a completely different card. This used to be a card called Mana Burn, just the picture. There used to be a 2-mana card called Mana Burn, which was essentially Chromatic Cold. And at one point they changed what Mana Burn did. It became more of an AoE thing around mana tiles, and they gave Chromatic Cold to Vano, which was the 2-mana Dispel and deal 2 damage on a tile. Triple Mystic, there's a fair bit of healing in this deck. To get to the late game, that's your goal. Double Nat Select. I didn't go for the triple. Sometimes it's a little bit situational. You can still handle the 2, but I had to thin some decks to get everything in. I had to thin some of the triples to get things in. But I still won the 9 minion package. Yeah, which is plenty. Boss Crawlers. You'll see in my Ilana list that I was running Rust Calls as well. For much the same reasons. I'll link the Ilana deck list down in the description. Originally, this deck was running them back in the old control. I feel like with even more artifacts in the game now than there was, it's even more relevant. I can list, same thing I did in the last video. You've got Regalia, you've got, oh jeez, I could probably go back, couldn't I? And just find common ones. It's not the worst idea, is it? Sunstone Basin, no. It's the 2-mana one that I keep forgetting the name of. There's Regalia, there's anything that you'd get from a freaking... I want all cards. All cards. Vitriol is what I was thinking. Yeah, anything from Titan. Dawn's Eye. Some people are just running Dawn's Eye. Crescent Spears, obviously. Blood Rage. Not really Mask of Shadows. It's not really seen play. If you're running Artifact High, it's really good. Doesn't really see play. I can speed this up. Ornate Hyogi, some people tested that when it first came out with the Second Sword Tsurugi and Ornate Hyogi combo. But I haven't really seen it past that sort of initial test phase when they were released. Iris Barrier is a big one, Sickle's a big one. Any Vitruvian artifact. Because in my opinion they all see play because of Saj. Saj is sort of staple as artifacts, because with golems you could run Golem Zerix a little bit better. With sort of Sabotage, there's Sif on now, so you don't really need Saj for that. A lot of these as well, not Releaser, but the Soul Grimoire, the Mind Lathe, the Spectral Blade, Ghost Azalea potentially, Fury Chakram, so many there. Eternal Heart, I don't see that being played very much. Considering how much healing Magmar does have, they don't really make that significant of a use of this card, because they would rather just heal so they don't die. Godhammer, yeah, in a sort of a face fast deck, these two might combo together, but you don't really see them in this meta. Mo and Kerr is a huge one, I think. These two, because Ragnar is really big right now. And less so, you might run into an odd Illinar for Ice Shadow Gauntlet. Animus Plate, perhaps. And that'll be that. So it does have some use in this meta. It's not a completely out of the 2 left field card. And Triple Silithar, it's a nice 2 mana rebirth sticky minion in the early game. Helps you ramp into 4. We have a lot of 2s and we have a lot of 4s. We don't have any 3 drops whatsoever. And so having that 2 drop at the start is really important. The best of which is probably Young Silithar, considering it's probably the stickiest minion that you could put out, which would guarantee this ramp at a potential 4. But we are running a very late curve, we're late game centric, much like the Illinar deck was, because those are the kind of decks I enjoy at the end of the day. Earth Sphere, such a great healing card. It is comparable, it's not on the scale of, say, like Soren's Finality, in that it only heals 8 instead of 10, but it comes out at half the mana cost. It's really strong. Perhaps one of the best healing cards in the game, considering its mana cost. Soren's Finality heals for 2 more, but it's twice the mana cost. Yes, it does other things, but just focusing on the healing, it's really good. Double Egg Morph. We aren't running any Dispel, so we're running a lot of transform effects in the form of, well, I'll get to it, but Egg Morph is one of those. Emerald Rejuvenator, before it was a 4 mana 3/3, I think, that that healed your general for 4. I'm trying to be as OG as I can, just to stick to the list. I'm not going to have the exact values in terms of the exact values of like 2 of this and 2 of this. I've tweaked it to my own liking. But Double Emerald Rejuvenator, even if it heals them for 4, you want to get to the late game, and then if this is just hitting him over and over, or this is hitting him over and over, you don't really care about them hitting for 4, when this, if they punch it, is a net for them and a gain of 4 for you. Yeah. Dancing Blades, obviously the better, quote unquote better version of Dancing Blades now for Magmar is Lava Slasher, but again I want to stick to the OG. Some of the control lists around Dancing Blades from what I saw. Interestingly, I've had to use this on Thunderhorn. You can run it, as in one of the replays that you'll see, you can run a Young Silly in, and you can Dancing Blades it, and that's something you can't really do with Lava Slasher, in that you could, but the Thunderhorn procs with a Lava Slasher, because the Lava Slasher is actually attacking it, whereas if you Dancing Blades, it's not actually attacking it, it's just dealing the damage without any counter attack happening. So that actually really came in handy. That's one of the benefits, if there would ever be one, of using Dancing Blades over Lava Slasher. And particularly when you make that trade, it's 1 less damage, but when you put that on board, the fact that it's not taking any more damage on a counter attack, this can often have more health than what a Lava Slasher would after it's finished trading. Often they drop down to 4 health or 3 health. This is still guaranteed to have 6 health. Triple Plasma Storm, we're getting into the AoE. I like to have 3 because I'll see a lot of Xerix, and Xerix likes to, if it's say a Golem list, you want to be able to deal with them, and then I could Sirocco, you want as much AoE as you can in lists like those. And in Lilith lists, for example, and Brome, It's particularly good in those three matchups. Mantra obviously it's a dead card. If they're not going to play minions, it's not good. But considering the amount of healing that we have a pretty good chance of healing enough to circumvent, say, a Mantra play, or just getting chipped down by the Warbird Bloodbound Mentor plays. Unlike this, compared to the Inland List, this has so much healing. It's insane. Because of the in-faction healing and the neutral healing combined. Moving on to double Archon, we're getting into the late game now. Obviously, Archon has been nerfed since back then. I think it was like a 6 mana 7-9, or maybe a 7 mana 7-9. Either way, its stats was 7-9, so you could flash this out really early, and it would still be a 7-7 with a really powerful effect. If you could get this out, it made it really hard to deal with. And you'd spend your entire turn sort of doing it. A lot of these plays go 1-for-1. Like, you've got to play this deck slightly differently from what I noticed from 2-card draw. Obviously, like, so many things changed. But just for the sake of making the comparison. You've got to play on curve. You've got to play one minion, right? And then you get one back. That's something you can do now. Whereas this, you felt maybe a little bit more pressured to get 2 out a turn. It's still a control list, but you felt more pressure to play 2 cards so that you didn't mill anything. It's very different, but just a side note. Triple Mercantor speaks for itself, I think. The Metamorphosis. I really like it. It's the second transform effect that we have in the deck. What's interesting is it has some combos with our deck. It has combos with the Spirit Harvester. And it's pretty strong. It's pretty strong. The reason we were running the flashes particularly is because if you Metamorphosis Flash Spirit Harvester, that is a 6 mana combo that you can do in the late game. If you're getting swarmed too much, you've run out of your Plasma Storms, your Mercantors and things like that, you have a third option. It's pretty strong. What's interesting is you can just play this with like a couple of cheap minions on board. Then you can clear 3 of them if they're in reach. And when you Metamorphosis, say you can't reach one of the minions, if it's say like a Grow minion, or if it's a minion that's been buffed, like a Chakri, or something that's just had any kind of buff applied to it, when you Metamorphosis and you can't reach it, it transforms back into that minion, but it removes the buffs. At the very least, if you can't reach it, it's removed all of its buffs. It's an important thing to note. It's something I discovered because I hadn't played a lot of this card before this deck. More late game, Silithar Elder can get out of control pretty quickly. Just in it generates eggs every turn. It's really strong. Having one of these out unanswered, unless they have something like EMP, I guess would answer this pretty well. But still, it's a fairly decent body with a good effect. And then Mandrakes. By the late game, they're going to have played, 12 minions throughout the course of you and them throughout the game. So you get these for free. But I don't tend to spam them out. I still do like to go one card a turn. Keeping pace with my opponent. I never want to drop. It's super important. I never want to drop to cards in hand lower than my opponent when I'm playing a control list, because that would be pretty bad. I'm okay with it being even. Best case scenario, I have 1 or 2 cards more than they do, considering how efficient this deck can be at removing things. Yeah. So I don't like to spam them out in case they do have some kind of removal for it, and then I lose both of them. If I just play one, it gets removed. It eats that removal. I play the second one, it might go unanswered. That's my thinking there. I'll get into some replays now. So we have a game versus Everhard. I'm still in Diamond. This isn't S rank gameplay. I will pause. This is an S rank gameplay. It's still, you're still gonna see meta decks in Diamond. You could argue it'll be a little bit different in Gold. There might be a bit more experimentation, but what did I see? I see there was a couple of decks I went up against. One was, I guess you don't see Kawa very often. It was kind of a fun match, making use of some Vesper synergy. So I had the option to go 2 into 2 here. I had 2 Silithars, right? I drew into that flash at the end of turn, I think. Or I replaced? No, I drew it into. So I guess that's the difference. I could have denied that mana tile and went 2 into 2. But as I say, some people might, even in the control list. That's just my preference in that I like to go 1. Because Vanna's ability to remove things really efficiently as well could have been a problem. They could easily have dealt with it, and then I would have been just fewer cards in hand. Even if I just keep one thing as a place fodder to try and find more removal, etc, etc. I prefer to just turtle up, kite this, because even if I stepped forward, he could have removed stuff, he could have played some Vespers, got this buff, then got value out of it. By keeping my distance from this, it's not going to get its value yet. Developing up here and keeping a healthy hand is what I aim to do there. Yeah. So we drew to flash. I'm not sure if I replace it. It's a very flash has a very specific purpose in that it can flash out with the Spirit Harvester for the combo with Metamorphosis, or it can flash out an early Archon Spellbinder. If we happen to draw it. So he does have a pretty strong turn here. All in all, I was kind of okay with it in that I think he made a slight mistake. I'm not 100% in terms of positioning of this. Where could he have put it? If he put it here, I guess it didn't matter too much. Right? Because I move here. But I just want instead. Yeah. Okay, it didn't matter too much. It goes to my turn. In terms of taking damage, I'm okay taking damage, particularly in a Kara matchup. If this was a Fae matchup, I'd be a little bit scared, considering I just took 6 on turn 2, and they're going to have Warbird as well. But I know that any damage that's going to come my way, I'll be able to sort of see coming. It's not going to be that many out of hand. If it's going to be damage is going to be on board, I'm going to be able to see it. And considering how much sort of control options I have to deal with board, I wasn't too concerned about taking a 6, especially since I already have the Earth Sphere in hand. And I can deal with this pretty well, I think. I just trade off this young Silithar. I do replace the flash. We have 2 Plasma Storms, so it's really good against these walls. He's not really valuing the walls, I don't think. He's just using them to buff Boy and Bear. But we can start to get him out of the way. And I can block him hitting this egg. Unless he has another Ice Blade Dryad. He could go in there. This eats a Chromatic Cold, which is pretty good for me, to be honest. If a 2-drop eats a Chromatic Cold, I'm sort of 100% fine with that. And it ate a bit of removal. If a 2-drop can eat some removal, that's just amazing, because we have a lot of late game threats, as you know, and the less removal, the less chance he has to have removal in hand for those threats. Amazing. Okay, so we have a really nice turn here in the form of the Spirit Harvester. It means that we don't have to take this 3. We don't have to trade in our only minion on board to clear his only threat. It's pretty strong. In case you were wondering, I'm dropping the Spirit Harvester here. I could have also another play, looking back on it, was definitely to play the Emerald Rejuvenator. Considering that only we have taken damage this game, we're the only people who get value out of this. But it did leave, and if I were to take the damage, that was one thing I could do and keep this up, punch a wall. That was one play, it wasn't the play I went with. Or we could avoid taking even more damage, trade this in, but then I think no matter where I put it, it would fall to the general, just hitting the egg. So there were two plays, both with merit. I generate a bigger statted minion here, and because I knew he was playing walls, this deals with it fairly quickly. It will eventually get rid of these to save you potentially getting any value from those walls. So that's why I did that. But I could definitely see that turn going either way with the 5 or 4 on 1. Yeah. We still have 2 Plasma Storms in hand for AoE. We have this up right now for AoE. These are just going to get cleared next turn, so no problems there. Pretty much for free. We have Boy and Bear come down, and the second combo of the Boy and Bear and the Bone Chill Barrier, and with the BBS. In terms of playing walls in Vanna, you kind of do want to go for Kara for this reason. It can buff them, it can make it harder to deal with them. They're not going to fall straight away. In the case of like an Embler turn, if you get those Blazing Spines and you're in the Magmar matchup, they're not going to die to Plasma Storm. That's another advantage. And you play it with the Luminous Charge as well, a somewhat newer card, and your BBS. You have to take so much more damage, just that 1 extra damage per wall, if you try and just trade it out. Makes it a lot more awkward. And it means you can't ignore those walls either. You can't just sit in the middle of the walls and not punch them. They're going to punch you. Just getting sidetracked. This turn, having a Spirit Harvester, super handy. I couldn't get away from the... I could have just Plasma Stormed. But it was a little bit awkward. Like, I don't think that these walls are the worst of it. Plasma Storm doesn't really help me clear this. I could have... No, I couldn't have. Because this would have still been up. The BBS was super painful because I would have been fine. You know, if he didn't BBS, I know he did, but I could have moved this down, punched, moved here. Gladly taken the 4, considering I have the Rejuvenator and Earth Sphere in hand. So I clear as best I can, and I think the play that I went with was just setting up a trade, right? I can drop this, it's got the 6 attack, and potentially just to trade with this. So I think the best I could hope for. And I do clear as many of the walls as I can in the meantime. These are going to fall anyway, so I hit that to clear 1. I can trade, they all go to 1 health. I move back, and this is body blocking it hitting me. So we need to remove this first. And with 3 cards in hand, we're starting to add value him. In that regard, I do lose this. I don't think there was a way to not, considering the wall was behind here. It was in this space here. No matter where I moved the Silithar, it would have fallen to this interaction here, this general hit. But we are up now. We are at 5 cards to his 3. We have taken a little bit more damage, but we have a superior board, I would argue. So he has the Animus Plate combo. Still, despite that Animus Plate buff, still dies. I have a pretty good turn here, even though that was buffed with Animus Plate. This at 5 health still dealt with that, with a natural selection. Again, I do play 2 cards, because even if I do play 2 cards, and I draw 1 at the end of the turn, I'll be at 4. He's still only at 2 with that 2 card play. And playing, I do play Emerald Rejuvenator here, because playing it now, he only heals 2, I heal for 4. So I'm getting more value out of it. I guess that's one advantage in playing these Rejuvenators. You can take early aggression, and that just gives you more value out of these Rejuvenators. In a deck where they're punching things more often, you might not get as much value out of this. You would value healing Mystics and Earth Spheres more. And you just have to accept that maybe it isn't, maybe developing the body and healing isn't necessarily the best. But you do it if you have no other options. So I stay here. I want to protect this Spirit Harvester. You can still get me some value. And I rejuvenate it down here. Because it was gonna get hit with this regardless, so I'm okay with it losing 1 health. That wasn't a big issue. And I'm starting to play my BBSs as well. I think there were a couple of turns where I skipped it in order to play the big value minion. But that wasn't the end of the world. So this gets super scary. Have a look at this shenanigans. Here, Crystal Cloakers, BBSs, and Crystalline Reinforcement. Is that what that card's called? Crystalline Reinforcement with the BBS and the Animus Plate buff. Super rough. So I didn't draw any of my Metamorphosis or my Egg Morph. I'm not sure if I had already drawn any of this game and used it. I don't think so. That would be how you theoretically do answer that. Egg Morph especially, because that would let me save the Metamorphosis for if you manage to get any spam going again. Just a single target for the single minion would have been better. Sadly, we don't draw it, so you have to take an alternate line of play. We do draw our Rust Crawlers. Really good against the Animus Plate. No more buffs on this guy. I'm not sure if Animus Plate gives you increased attack or not. I think it did. But either way, we answer it pretty well. We move this here. As I say, this formation kind of protects us. Sort of. So yeah. We do punch him to get, because we're about to Earth Sphere, we want to get the most value out of that as we can. And it's essentially prepping ourselves for the potential 12 damage that we're about to take. Say I didn't Earth Sphere, I was at 18 health, down to 6 health after this punches me. That was way too scary, so I do Earth Sphere and heal back up to full. So right now, 1 card in hand versus our 3 cards. We're drawing our late game, which is really nice. We still have a little bit of healing, which we're going to need. And we have a couple of bodies to trade into this if need be. This is 8 here, so he does clear this for free. I suspected he would, but unless he has another buff for this as his last card, I will take 12, but I will remove it and take 12 regardless of what happens. So that gets rid of that, and now it's sort of one-way traffic here. He's developing 1/3s, but he's top decking. We're in a pretty good spot. I chuck down the first Elder and heal up. Still our 2 cards to his 1, but we have more health, superior board, and cards. He does generate a few 3/3s. So you can question the usefulness of my of the Dance of Dreams. It's better if you have your 2-drops out on the board, or potentially your Emerald Rejuvenator, because you can play it on a turn, and if you have 2 minions on board, you get value out of it. If you're just planning on setting up trades that turn, you get value out of it. And they have to die. And you can cantrip by just playing it on a Mercantil turn at 7 mana. You make sure that Mercantil runs into something and dies, and that's just a cantrip. But I think if you play 2 minions and they both die on that turn, then you're getting your value back. And it costs 1 mana for that draw. I can't remember. I play it here just to cycle. This is going to die. These two aren't going to die this turn. But there are definitely situations where it would be more beneficial. So I do sack this off just to get that cycle. I do it in the one closest. In retrospect, I should have done that differently because I wasn't thinking about my trades that much. I guess it would have been better to hit this top one. I reached all the way up. I should have hit this top Winter Myriad because of how I use my Silithar Elders to clear here. I'm happy to take the 1 and clear that wall. That way none of these guys get frozen. Because I do take that anyway. So there was a little bit of a waste. That wasn't, but this could have been on 1 health. And yeah, that's the only difference. This would have been on 1. If I draw into another Spirit Harvester, it just dies. Not that it would have been good because I've got my eggs coming, but still. I block that off in case you have like another Animus Plate combo. And I block here in case he wants to deal more damage by hitting me. Just blocking off your general and the minion. I think I block damage potentially. And now we're getting that Silithar value. He didn't answer the first one. Didn't have the resources to answer it. Playing the second one. He didn't play it. He didn't answer the first one. It duplicates. I play the second one from hand. And that's when it starts to get out of control. I don't think he was running EMPs to answer that. So I was pretty strong in showing off how you can burn out your opponent. Not necessarily with burst, just soaking up all that pressure, then playing 2 cards with their combos, and you answering it as efficiently as you can. You get card advantage, you heal past that burst, and you get to the late game and you win with Elders. We didn't draw our Archons that game, but that's another thing you can do. It's still a 7 attack card. Can hit them in the face a couple of times, might close out a game. We have one more here. We'll get into the second replay. Yeah. Dos has. So yeah, this was a pretty good game. This was also a gold player. I like to show wins and losses. I don't like to just show a deck win, because that's not realistic. You're gonna jump on ladder. You're gonna try your best. Sometimes you're gonna lose. Sometimes you're gonna win. You're obviously gonna try your best to win, but you gotta think this deck isn't going to be good against everything, and I could go up against anything on ladder. Who knows what I'll go up against, you know, end of the day. So in this one we have our Silithar as our turn 1 play. It's perhaps the strongest turn 1 play going first that you can have. It's the best 2-drop we're running. We have things like a Metamorphosis at 6, a Mercantil, and our Archon Spellbinder. I wasn't sure what you were running yet. I never really got a grasp of what this list was. I'm not too familiar with what Cassiva is running in this meta and what sort of staple cards are. It could have been creep, could have been aggro cast, could have been something I've never seen before. Who knows? So I have a diverse sort of range of options. I mean, Archon can be good if it's aggro cast. This can be good if you're running a more minion centric thing. Mercantil is just good, you know. And early on, even though we don't have like a strong 3-drop or 4-drop, we're okay with taking things slow, because we do believe in our ability to get to the late game with the amount of healing that we have. So I'm thinking this is really good. He's used up 2 healing cards. He's essentially, in my opinion, just wasted 2 healing cards. 5 damage worth of healing, just tempering it out. If that were me, I definitely wouldn't have played 2 healing cards. I would have played the Mystic, as it's better statted, and it's not wasting as much healing, as this only heals 2, this heals 3. That could have been really impactful for him later on. We do set up a nice trade here. I'll let it run a bit. We can punch with the Celithar. We take 2, but spoilers, we do play the Mystic. We heal back that 2. And right off the bat, the net is that, we'll play the Mystic, yeah. Net is that we, at the end of this turn, will be at 5 cards. He'll be at 4. We're at full HP. We have 2 minions to his 1. And he doesn't have a way of removing this, even though it's a low health, without an out-of-hand card, using up his mana for that turn. So we're in a good position here. We've already drawn that 1 card out of him by him playing that 2 into 2, 2 drops on that turn. I do believe when I play Sentinels, it can be a little bit of a guessing game. Trying to think of what Sentinels Abyssian has. The only thing that would have been a concern was the general procs one. I wasn't too concerned about, considering I'm Vath. I can keep my using my Bloodborne spell, and that just sort of negates its effect. The other 2, I'm trying to think what they are. There's a spell which puts a 4/4 fiend in their hand, which I was sort of suspecting, to be honest. And there's one more, minion summon, gains the copy of the minion. Yeah, so I was expecting one of those 2. But what you can do is, I haven't played a minion, I'm okay with it being a spell one and putting a 4/4 fiend in their hand, as we do have Mercantor, which once you played it, I could potentially clean it up. Or if you spam the board, I have Metamorphosis to sort of try and clear. And the other one was, I didn't want to play my Celithar Thirst in case it was that minion copy one after it gets summoned. So I BBS, we're good to go. It's not spell. I punch because I'm okay with it being the general proc one. It's not. And then I play the Celithar, so we're safe to do that. And now I'm suspecting that now I know you're running that Sentinel. In the future, I could just be sure that that's what you're running, and make sure I don't play my minions before I clear your Sentinel. So this was a bit of a rough turn. But then again, not. I don't really regret my decision here. Again, I suspected this is a minion summon one. But I can just safely punch it. He played it right next to me. I have 3 attack. It's gone. And I do something a little bit different. I do egg morph this. The reason I egg morph it is because I don't want him to have Megazord at all. We had the opportunity to deny the Megazord by egg morphing it, so that its Dying Wish doesn't proc and it doesn't draw the Megazord. We take it. I want to get this out of range so he can't punch and ping it. And punch pinging it with the rebirths. If they finish off the minion with a ping, the creep spawns under the egg. So all they need to do is to spend that 1 mana, if it's on 1 health, to clear it completely. So that's an advantage that Cass has against rebirth minions. And side note, it's also good in the Ragnar matchup, I should say. So we Egg Morph to deny the Megazord because there's no solid answers to Megazord in our deck. If he plays it away, we could Metamorphosis, Flash Spirit Harvester, of course. But that's a very specific 3-card combination that we only have one of at the moment. So we're not going to reliably be able to draw that. He has to use that resource to bring it toward him to try and clear it. Which is great. We're at our 5 cards. To his, it will be 3. He spends a nice slow turn. And because he burned himself out that much and just spent that turn removing one of my minions and taking damage at the same time, we now have breathing room to start dropping threats. And Archon Spellbinder on curve, it's a great threat. So we do that. We move here to block the mana tile. Stops you from ramping. We aren't really concerned about ramping. We can just play on curve and be pretty happy with ourselves. He plays additional healing. And his second Sentinel. So unfortunately our Archon couldn't reach this. I know I need to kill this before I play any minions so that you don't get that value. Yeah. We move here, we punch this. I believe, I don't know if we drop the second Archon or if we heal. I'm not 100%. It might be the second Archon into BBS. It's the more mana efficient play. Okay, we heal. Yeah, because I am dropping 6 health lower than him. I still will be, but I'll be at 16 instead of 10, and I felt better about that. Playing around Grasp of Agony with this. I now am guarding that mana tile. If he doesn't want to step closer to this, that's not really what you want to do. He has even more heals, which is kind of unfortunate. An Earth Sphere would have been really nice. Sadly, I don't think we draw one. We replaced this since I was mainly keeping that in case, you know, there's a little bit of aggro, a little bit of Spectral Blade. That would have been nice. We take the 1 to deal 7, sort of 11 damage to his face. A little bit more efficient. I don't think at the end of the day taking 1 would have mattered. We drop him to 10, and we drop our second Archon. Again, we're trying to play around Grasp of Agony, was what I was thinking there. And in doing so, we set ourselves up for some failure. Because in my sort of trying to get that board presence, we get betrayed. I try, as I say, the reason why I mentioned that I didn't really know what kind of deck it was sort of meant to be. I didn't know what to expect. Essentially, we had that game won though. However, in another situation, had I known the matchup better, we had that game won. As I say, we were like 4 or 5 cards. These 2. If we just kept it going, kept hitting him with big bodies on board, we would have won. But yeah, knowing the matchup's pretty important, knowing what kind of removal you want, knowing how to play around their removal. I have to get more familiar with the sort of archetypes that are being run with each general. I wasn't sure with that deck what the win con really was. I don't know if you can really use Betrayal as a win con. It's not very reliable. It's very situational. It was good against ours. When you're up on ladder, you're not always gonna have, you know, them playing big bodies right next to them. Although, I did run into a Fae that was sort of running, I think a new variant of Fae has come alongside the sort of BBS Blood Bomb Mentor deck. And it's running the Capricious Marauders with EMPs to dispel. So now that doesn't get switched when a minion dies. And Seraphims. And ramp. It was ramp Faye into those big late game threats. Just big body. 9-9, 9-9, 7-9, or whatever it is, 8-9. I don't bloody know. It's pretty rough to deal with if they can get that going. Anyway, I've done rambling enough. Deck lists for Illiana. No, not Illiana. Just the Illiana video. And the deck I did there will be in the description. This deck list will be in the description as well if you want to have a look. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.